Ready. Hello everyone, welcome to ACE Online and welcome to daily current affairs sessions. Today we will cover the current affairs of yesterday as well as today, as yesterday was a Sunday. So, we will be taking the articles from yesterday as well in the today's session, right. So, let us see what are all the articles that we are going to cover today. First one, National Human Rights Commission. So, it is a part of Indian polity and is a statutory organization. So, this is from polity subject. Okay. Next, National Disaster Response Fund. This is from disaster management. Disaster management. Okay. Next one, coconut palm. So, it can be taken part of agriculture as well as environment. So, we can let it be taken as agriculture, which is also part of geography and economy as well, right. So, agriculture is usually studied under the geography subject, Indian geography. Next one, trade deal with Oman, that is of India's trade deal. So, this is part of international relations, IR. Then over the counter drugs. So, this is part of health, right, health, as we can take it as part of social issues as well, because health is part of our social issue. Then first electronic voting machine experiment. So, we have seen this in the last 1 or 2 sessions few days back, but there was an article in the Indian Express which has explained very good way what has happened and why Supreme Court has quashed. So, we will see this as well, and you can expect lot of questions in the coming exams, whatever you may write from the EVMs, VVPAT. So, all these elections related questions you will see a lot in the coming exams, because elections are scheduled, the Lok Sabha election. So, even this have happened even in 2019 or 2014. Whenever there is a issue of these elections, there are many times the questions has been asked, right. So, this is again part of Indian polity, right. Next, forest fires and Bambi bucket. So, this is part of environment. We will see, because there are lot of forest fires happening across India in the southern part as well as northern part. Then repolling, there was a repolling in certain constituencies. So, there was an article in the Indian Express again explaining very beautifully in how the election commission conducts the repolling in what circumstances, that also we will see. Again, this is part of polity, right. Then World Coral Conservation Project from environment. Then factual pointers and practice questions. So, these are all the articles that we are going to cover today. I hope my voice, video, everything is clear. Very good evening Srinath and Malini, welcome to the session. So, before starting our session, I want to tell you one very important thing for especially for today's session. There are certain issue based contents or articles. So, please be very alert when you are listening to them. If you have any issues in adjusting or understanding the linkage, let me know in the comment section, so I will clear it, right. So, there are some very good issue based articles from today's session, right. So, let us without delay, the first article is related to the National Human Rights Commission. So, you might have read this under part of polity also. If you forget, try to we will discuss in a very exhaustive manner, everything will be covered in this, including the issue that we are facing currently, right. So, try to understand them clearly, you can answer those questions well. So, this is a very important article. Recently, there was a rating to be given. There are number of human rights commission across the world. For every country, every country has a human rights commission. Similarly, India is also having National Human Rights Commission, and these are rated by United Nations, like how they are performing. Certain countries National Human Rights Commissions are not performing well, certain countries are performing well. So, based on the accreditations are given A, B, C, some categories. So, India's evaluation or criteria to be given for National Human Rights Commission was halted in 2023 because of lot of complaints, lot of issues in the National Human Rights Commission. The world body has stopped giving rating for this organization, and it is going to be given this year. So, that is why it is there in news. We will come to the context again, what is the issues and all after discussing those things. We will come to the context, what has happened and all. But yes, the rating is due in the coming days. On May 1st, they are going to discuss about the rating to be given for National Human Rights Commission. Now, let us understand the National Human Rights Commission working nature and the facts associated with it. Later we will come to the issue as well, right. So, human rights are those rights for humans which are very basic in nature to live their life, right, without any effect, like freedom of speech, freedom of expression, right to have food. All these are very much human rights, right, and to manage those human rights for all the individuals across the world, United Nations have come together in 1991 and they have established a Paris principles, right. So, Paris, the meeting has happened in Paris, France in 1991 and they have established an accreditation. So, for each organization it is mandatory for every country to establish its own National Human Rights Commission. So, it was mandated by Paris principles, right, to establish a National Human Rights Commission for all the countries, and India has established this immediately after the convention. After signing this agreement, immediately India has established its own National Human Rights Commission, and it is an independent statutory body. It means no influence from government or from any individuals will be impacting the working nature of National Human Rights Commission, and statutory body means it was established under some of the law, right. So, the law is Protection of Human Rights Act 1993. So, these statutory bodies are established through the parliament processing of laws. So, parliament has to pass law and give the statutory nature, right. So, this is such body which is having statutory authority and it is responsible to taking care of the human rights working in India across the states. So, we have a National Human Rights Commission which will try to implement the human rights across India, right. So, that is the objective. As I said, under Paris principles it was mandated for every country to establish, right. Now, we need to know who are the members who been what you call the who can become the chairman, who can become the members, and the qualifications and all are very very important. There are many questions been asked even recently in 2022 Odisha State PS. So, there was lot of questions that I have checked, right. So, you need to be clearly understand the National Human Rights Commission is a statutory body and it has a members, right. First one, the most important person is the chairman or chairwoman, right, whoever may be, right. So, he or she is the head of this organization, and a person whom to be appointed as a chairman should be working or should have been worked, that means the retired Chief Justice of India or retired Supreme Court judge, right. So, they were judges are the most independent body in India in any country, right. So, courts are having the separate independent powers. So, that is why the members, the chairman is having the very much neutrality, who has worked, not the present Chief Justice, but who has been already worked as a Supreme Court Chief Justice of India or maybe the Supreme Court judge. Not only about Chief Justice, even the judge of a Supreme Court can be part of the chairman, can be the chairman. And the members, there are total 5 members, this is also important to be remembered. There are total 5 members under the body excluding the chairman, right. One should be have been judge of Supreme Court. Among those 5 members, one should be the already been working as a judge, right. Apart from chairman, one more person should be from the judge of the Supreme Court. This is one. And second thing should be Chief Justice of High Court. In the states we have a high courts, right, different states have different high courts. So, one more person, the second person should be worked as a Chief Justice of High Court. So, this is the second members, and 3 members can be any of the persons who has experience in working in the national human rights, right. Across India, whoever may be having experience in working with regard to human rights can be selected as a 3 members, right. So, this is one thing, and among these 3 persons, one important thing is at least one person should be woman. Among these 3 persons who has experience in human rights, at least one should be from women. So, this is also very important. Apart from those permanent bodies, there are some temporary members as well who will assist this commission, right. They are called as deemed persons, and these are from already existing constitutional and statutory bodies. National Commission of Backward Classes already a constitutional body. So, this chairman and then National Commission of Minorities, Scheduled Castes, Scheduled Tribes, Protection of Child Rights, and then National Commission on Women Statutory Authority, Chief Commissioner of Persons with Disabilities. So, all these bodies chairmen are also deemed members who are assisting these people, right. 1 plus 5 are the permanent members, right. So, this is about the body's nature, the membership. Now, who are appointed, like these persons has been appointed, but who will appoint, that is also important. They are appointed by the president. All these members including the chairman are appointed by the president, but on the recommendation of a committee, right. Say for example, this is president who will appoint, and these are recommended by certain committee. This committee will give suggestion to the president, and accordingly the president has to appoint them, right. It is a mandatory for president to appoint the committee who said, and this committee consists of Prime Minister of India, Speaker of Lok Sabha, then Chairman of Rajya Sabha, the second house, and then Ministry of Home Affairs, whoever is the Minister of Home Affairs that time. So, that person is also part of this committee, and then leader of opposition in Lok Sabha as well as the leader of opposition in Rajya Sabha as well, including the deputy chairman. Fine. One important thing, it is not the chairman but the deputy chairman, right. So, vice president is actually the chairman of Rajya Sabha, and he is not part of Rajya Sabha. This is also one important fact, you must have read it in polity. Vice president is not part of Rajya Sabha, right. So, here these persons, the Prime Minister, Home Minister, Speaker of Lok Sabha, Deputy Chairman, Leader of Opposition, and Leader of Opposition in Rajya Sabha as well. So, these persons based on the majority vote, right, they will recommend to the president, and accordingly they are appointed as the members and the chairman of the National Human Rights Commission. This is a very, very important, and the term for that persons whoever are appointed are 3 years or 70 years at max the person. So, whichever is maximum. For example, he was appointed in 2022 and in 2024 he is reaching 70 years, right. So, it will end even if it is not 3 years, but still he has to be retired. So, maximum 70 years, or if it is 3 years, for example, he was appointed as 2020 and by 2023 he or she should be retired. So, maximum 3 years, or the maximum other case is 70 years. So, these are the conditions of the service nature of these persons, right. And these persons, chairperson or members, can be removed by president itself. There is no need of passage of any bill in the parliament. So, for example, Chief Justice of India is removed through resolution, passing 2/3 of majority, special majority is required. So, parliament approval is needed to remove certain persons higher, like Chief Justice of India and all, but here we need just the president approval, right. So, president can remove if of course there is a hand of Supreme Court here. Supreme Court will say that the misbehavior or incapacity of the person whoever has appointed is upheld by the Supreme Court, then only the president can remove, right. So, this is the working nature of the members of National Human Rights Commission. Any doubts in this? We will move ahead. Still there is the article, but I am just asking whether you understood the membership nature and who are appointed. All those things are very, very important to understand, right. So, that is the case of National Human Rights Commission. Now, what powers are there for National Human Rights Commission? What are the powers given to NHRC? That is also important. First one, inquire on complaints. If someone has complained that this person's human rights has been violated, maybe from lower caste or some minorities, whatever may be. So, if human rights are violated, if someone is complained to NHRC, they can inquire the complaints. They can call police officers and whoever the persons who are responsible for that from the government side, right. And also it can take suo moto case. Suo moto means itself, nobody need to complain. If it has seen in some paper or news, it can take the case itself, right. That is called as a suo moto, right. So, this is also the power. Next one, they can approach to the high courts or Supreme Courts whenever they feel that there is a violation of fundamental rights or human rights. They can directly approach the Supreme Court also. That is also power given. And then compensation can be recommended. It won't give direct compensation, but it can recommend. It will tell to the government that this much amount of money has to be given to this person because he or she has suffered because of the violation of human rights. So, these are all the powers of National Human Rights Commission, a very important article, right. Now, coming back to the context, I hope this is clear. Till what we have discussed, we have seen what is National Human Rights Commission, and we have seen the working nature of the members and the powers given to the National Human Rights Commission. Now, coming back to the context, what we have said in the context, that there is a review going on about giving the rating to our National Human Rights Commission, right. So, there is a subcommittee on accreditation. This is a subcommittee under United Nations recognized Global Alliance of National Human Rights Institution. So, there is an organization which is a coalition of all the human rights commissions across the world, different nations. So, it is a coalition of all the governments, National Human Rights Commission, and this was accredited by United Nations, right. So, this under this organization we have a subcommittee on accreditation which will give rating for all the National Human Rights Commissions for all the countries, right. So, this committee under this organization will give the rating, and they are going to meet on May 1st. In the next few days they are going to meet and discuss about the accreditation for different organization, different countries, and including India as well, right. In 2023 they did not give rating to the National Human Rights Commission because of lack of minority members, like from people who are from minority religions like Islam, Buddhist, Jains. So, there was no such member appointed in the National Human Rights Commission, and police were directly involved in the inquiry. Actually, National Human Rights Commission should have a independent powers, but police has involved in the most of inquiries. That is why some people have also complained. Some Oxfam International, some individuals has complained that Indian government is not working in the neutrality to give National Human Rights Commission. They have complained to the international subcommittee. So, that is why it has stopped giving accreditation, and accreditation is very important for NHRC because we have a voting rights. If we are having higher rating, our vote has more power in the meetings of United Nations Human Rights Council. So, to have a more say, we need to have a good accreditation, that is EA, right. So, now it is going to be reviewed in the next coming days. So, we are going to, we will see whether we will be getting accreditation A or accreditation B. If we are going to get accreditation A, then yes, we will be in a good position. Now, Indian officials are working with the United Nations body to have a accreditation A, that is the context. We will have to see after few days what we will get, right. So, what is the current status? As I said, in 2022 we got accreditation A, but 2023 they did not give any accreditation. Now, we will have to see what will happen, right. So, that is about the National Human Rights Commission. Yes, in other countries also they have the same rules as UN Progress. So, all the countries whoever has signed the Paris Principles in 1991 have a same criteria, everyone has to follow, and most of the countries does not have accreditation A, only few countries, Western countries have because of their liberal nature, right. So, we have a uniform rules and regulations. We will have to see what India will get in the coming days, right. Any doubts in this? Any doubts? Please do respond. We will move to the next article. The session will be little bit lengthy today because we have a good amount of analysis articles, but I am sure it will really help you if you understand the issue rather than by hearting the facts at the end of the examination, just before the week of examination. So, try to understand the issue and then remember the facts. Great. Let us move to the next article, that is National Disaster Response Fund, NDRF, alright. So, recently we have discussed few days back that Kerala government is asking for National Disaster Response Funds from the center, and center is checking whether they can give during the elections. We have seen this article. If you forget, please do recollect, but anyway we will discuss what actually happened, right. So, Karnataka and some states have faced the disasters few months back, and they have asked the central government to release the funds, national disaster funds, right, but center was not able to release. That is why there was an issue, and recently after Karnataka has reached to the Supreme Court, now the union government has released the funds, right. So, this is why we are taking this article. Great, thanks for the response all of you. Now, this is why we have taken this article. Let us understand what actually a Disaster Management Act. See, you might be aware about the tsunami that has happened in 2024 on the eve of the Christmas, right. So, during approximately the next day or the evening of Christmas, we had faced tsunami in the Indian Ocean from starting from the Indonesia, right, Sumatra Islands. It reached towards the Indian mainland as well. We have a huge impact. Before that, there is no authority which takes care of the disaster management. There is no legality. Whom to question? Nobody can question. Who is the responsibility to ask when there was a failure in the disaster management? So, there is no such powers, legal powers in India to handle the disaster management. That is why Indian government has felt the need that there should be a responsible on certain people or certain officers during the disasters. So, that is why to take legal mandate, legal obligations on the officers who are responsible, government has passed the Disaster Management Act of 2005 to handle the disasters, whatever may be, tsunami may be, earthquakes or floods, droughts, whatever may be. Those are all, some people are responsible to handle. The law is a much bigger one, more than 200 pages document which explained clearly everything who are responsible and all, right. So, this was enacted on 26th December 2005, exactly after 1 year after causing the tsunami to the mainland, right. And as I said, this is the background about tsunami, and it was passed by the government to keep legal obligation on the people who are responsible to handle the disasters, right. And National Disaster Management Authority, NDMA, is the main nodal agency to take care of the disaster management. So, here you can see NDMA, the highest authority at the center, and then at the state level we have State Disaster Management Authority. For each state there is a separate organization, and then for each district again there is a Disaster Management Authority, and at the local level we have panchayats and then local offices. So, this is the hierarchy we have developed or enumerated in the Disaster Management Act, right. So, this is the working nature. So, now it becomes easy who can be taken care, what is the role of NDMA, and then state NDMA and the local authorities can be questioned if they fail to implement the disaster management, right. Now, let us know about the National Disaster Management Authority, NDMA, right. You need to know about the details about National Disaster Management Authority. It is headed by Prime Minister. This is headed by Prime Minister directly, right. It is overseen by the PM, and then it was kept under Home Minister, Ministry of Home Affairs. Usually we have a Prime Minister office also, separate body, but we did not keep that under Prime Minister office body. It was under Ministry of Home Affairs, which will take care of implementation, but it was overseen, it is headed by Prime Minister. This is a very important difference that you need to understand. Ministry is Home Affairs, but the member headed by is not Ministry of Home Minister, but rather it is a PM, right. So, this is an important thing to be remembered, and the provisions Disaster Management Act contains clear explanation of financial obligation. National disaster funds were created, and then state disaster response funds were created. A separate pool of funds were created under public accounts of India. We have three type of accounts with the government. They are like a bank to save government money. We have Consolidated Fund of India, we have public accounts of India, and then we have Contingency Fund of India as well, right. Contingency Fund is under President, Consolidated Fund of India is under Parliament. So, any money to be taken from Consolidated Fund of India need a passage of bill from Parliament. They need permission. Government cannot spend without the permission of the Parliament. We have also Public Account of India. So, these are the three type of funds created under the government, and this can be directly handled by government itself, right. Now, no permission is needed. So, this national disaster funds, right, were created under public account. So, whenever government want to use, they can use it. And how much money should be keep in public fund? This is decided by on the recommendation of Finance Commission. We have a Finance Commission for every 5 years. Based on its recommendation, we keep certain funds under Public Fund of India for disaster management, right. Similarly, same funds were there at the state level as well, which were under public accounts of the state. For each state also we have a three type, right. So, this was also created at the state level. These funds are important to be understood. Now, a little bit more about NDRF, that is National Disaster Response Fund. These funds are supplementary in nature. They are not completely to give the complete disaster management. Whatever funds were necessary were not directly given by National Disaster Response Fund. We have a state disaster response fund. Every government will, every state governments will have SDRF, where Finance Commission will recommend to keep certain amount of money with the states. So they need to use them, but to supplement them, because there won't be sufficient, the disaster might be the bigger one. So just to supplement, the central government will give the funds to the states, right. Usually states has to spend their own money, but in case of bigger disasters, then central government will give the funds, right. Now who will decide about the expenditure that we occurred during the disasters? State government will assess how much funds were lost, how much amount of money we lost during the disasters, right. So state governments will decide, and then they will make a memorandum of request to the central government. Central government teams will come and they will cross check whether state government had clearly estimated the loss that has happened, and accordingly it will tell to the central government that yes, they have kept the genuine one, you can release the funds. So accordingly central government will release funds, right. So this is about the working nature of the NDAMA or MF, right, National Disaster Response Funds, right. So this is about the things we have discussed. Now coming back to the context, that central government has released the funds to the state government. So it was given for two states. One is Karnataka for drought, right, for drought conditions because of lack of rains due to the El Nino, and for Tamil Nadu government there was a cyclone Michong, and then also Tamil Nadu floods were also happened because of this. So they have given three type of funds. For Karnataka they gave this much amount for drought, and for Tamil Nadu they have given for cyclone Michong this amount, and then for Tamil floods they have given this amount. So you can remember this. Karnataka has got the huge amount of funds out of it, right. So this is about the context. Any doubts in this? Any doubts? Please respond if you have any doubts, else we will move to the next article about the coconut palm, right. The next article, let us see the context. There was an article on the Hindu in the science and technology page written by some science and technology expert, the Hindu, on Sunday, that is yesterday, right. That is why we have taken this about. The context is the heading of the article itself, coconut have a many benefits, right. So in the exam they will ask you the cultivation methodologies, or maybe the conditions where the coconuts grow, or the India's status with the coconuts. All these things are important from your agriculture syllabus, right. So we will see. Thanks for the response. Let us move to the next article, that is about the coconuts, right. So coconut is good for health, but yes, we will see the cultivation and the importance of the coconut palm, right. Coconut palm is indigenous to Malaysia, right. Yeah, Malaysia. It is not Malaysia. Malaysia is a country, right. Malaysia is a country, but this is native to Malaysia, which is a region covering Southeast Asia and India as well, from Andaman Nicobar and some coastal regions, right. So Malaysia is a geographical region covering Australia, Indonesia, New Guinea, as well as some part of India as well. So these are native to Southeast Asia and some part of India. There was a question on palm oil in Civil Services 2020 that they are native to given Southeast Asia, but they were native to African region. They will change the statement and then they will ask the exam. But this is a native to Southeast Asia and some part of India. And this is the only, this belongs to the palm tree family. There is a palm trees, there is a different families, different types of palm trees, and this belongs to the palm tree, and this is the only living species belong to the genus of cocos. There were earlier few thousands of years before there was a different cocos family, but now the genus cocos is having only one, that is coconut, right. Important fact, and it belongs to the Southeast Asia, right. So this is a picture from the Goa, the very realistical picture. So you can see here they are widely grown in the coastal regions, right. So coastal regions are very suitable for the cultivation of coconuts, right, because they require certain type of climatic condition, soil condition. We will see them as well, that will also be asked in the exam. They are mainly grown in southern states because coastal regions are located in the southern part of India only. In northern part we do not have any coastal states except few, that is central part Gujarat and West Bengal, but most of the states, the 90% of total coconuts production comes from 5 states: Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana. So 90% of coconuts are produced by southern states, right. And India is the largest producer of coconut, very important fact, right. India is the largest producer of coconut, contributing approximately 31% to the global coconut requirement, right. And also India is the second in terms of productivity, right. India is second in terms of productivity after Indonesia, right. This is also important facts to be remembered. Now what are the favorable conditions for coconut cultivation? We require a certain type of temperature, we require certain types of rainfall, we require certain types of soil as well. So those things you need to remember, and this is grown widely in warm and humid climates. Warm and humid climates, they require temperature more than 27 degrees. Without higher temperature they cannot grow. That is why North India, which is usually the lesser temperatures, especially in the winters, they will not be able to grow. That is why the southern states, which is having high temperature, they are grown well, and they required very laterite soils. We have a number of soil types like red soil, black soil and all. It required laterite soil, and also grown in the coastal sandy soils where the water is easily permeable. So the amount of water should not be stagnant, right, and the rainfall is required between 100 centimeters to 300 centimeters, right, on an average. It is grown in higher amount of rainfall region. This is also important. Temperature, as I said, 27 degrees or more, right. So this is about, and also one more important thing, they are usually grown in the higher altitudes. So from mean sea level, the mean sea level is a 0 we take, and above it usually they are grown higher in higher latitudes, approximately 600 meters, right. So these are all important factors, and benefits also was mentioned in the article, that they are rich in fat soluble vitamins. Fat soluble means the vitamins which can store in body along with the fat. There are also some more water soluble vitamins like B, C, which are water soluble, they will go on daily basis through our urinal and all, right. So these are the vitamins which are good for health because they store in our body, and this coconut has all these vitamins, and also it is rich in fiber and then vitamins or different vitamins as well. And it is known that it can delay the Alzheimer's disease, which is having the brain related disease, so it can also delay that. It is widely used in medicinal, cosmetic, everywhere it is used. Not even a single part of coconut tree goes waste, right, starting from the roots to the top level. So it is a very useful plant, right. So that is about the coconut plantation. Any doubts in this? So these are all the articles that we are discussing in a very detailed manner, and very important. You will have a wide knowledge if you keep on attending the sessions for at least a few months continuously. You will have a wide knowledge when compared to the other students. I am surely assure you this will really help you, right, because you are understanding the issue rather than mugging up the facts. I see most of the students keep mugging up the facts in the last moment of the exam. That will not work, right. Next article, trade deal with Oman. Trade deal with Oman. So the context is India is going to sign a free trade deal with Oman, right. So that is the context. It was again published in the Hindu newspaper, right. Let us know more about it. Actually there is a Gulf Council where all the Sunni based countries, there are two Islamic sects in the Middle East, that is Sufi as well, Sunni and Shia, right. But Gulf Council is a congregation of, it is a grouping, like we have a BRICS, they have a Gulf Cooperation Council where the Sunni Islamic countries are there, UAE, Saudi Arabia, then Oman, right, Qatar. So these are all Sunni based countries, they are part of this Gulf Cooperation Council, but we were not able to deal with that. We could not able to attain the free trade agreement with the Gulf Cooperation Council. Now what India is doing, India is trying to make a individual agreement with UAE, with Saudi Arabia, with Oman. So rather than making it as a group, they are trying to have a deal with individual country of Gulf Cooperation Council. And our trade with Oman is approximately 13 billion. That means what we are sending and what we are getting together, it is added in terms of value, and it is approximately 13 billion, right. This is also important. Also the agreement will give us a base in the Strait of Hormuz. I will show you the map, the Gulf of Oman and the Strait of Hormuz, Persian Gulf as well. So we will get access to those trade routes, because once we send the sign the agreement, so Indian ships can pass through those regions without any hiccups, right, because that country of Oman is accepting us, right. So this is the thing. As I said, we were not able to go ahead with the Gulf Cooperation Council free trade agreement, we are doing individually, right. And according to the source that Hindu has provided, there were two agreements from, two acceptance from Oman as well as India. Oman have accepted to eliminate duties on Indian exports worth 3 billion. So if duties are removed, more exports will go to that country, because they will get more cheaper rates of our Indian goods. So Oman has accepted to reduce the duties on worth 3 billion goods covering agriculture, gems and jewelry, leather, automobiles, medical devices, engineering products and textiles. So out of lot of goods that we have, Oman is going to eliminate duties on these products. Similarly, India is also agreed to reduce duties on some petrochemicals, aluminium and copper, which Oman is sending to us. So it is a two-way free trade agreement where goods can be easily transferred, right. Now coming back to the mapping where Oman is located, India is located this side, right side of Pakistan, right. So if you observe this map, this is also very important. This is Oman, which is bordering Gulf of Oman, right. This is the Gulf of Oman, and then this is a Persian Gulf. Gulf is a larger water body, right, within some seas. So this is the Persian Gulf, this is Gulf of Oman, and here we have a Strait of Hormuz. Strait of Hormuz. Can anyone tell me what is strait? I am again asking this question because I want to know what we were discussing. We have discussed this strait many times. Can anyone tell me what actually is strait? So strait is a narrow water body connecting two larger water bodies, right. So this is the Strait of Hormuz. So Iran is having Strait of Hormuz, and India also constructed one port in Iran, right. So we have a port also here near Gulf of Oman, right. This is the Oman part, which is having border with the Arabian Sea, Gulf of Oman. This is called as Chabahar port, if someone is asking. Chabahar port, which we have constructed in Gulf of Oman for Iran. So this Persian Gulf, Strait of Hormuz and Gulf of Oman is important. So if India could able to sign free trade agreement, we can traverse through these water bodies, and our trade with other countries of Western Asia can also increase. Yes, very good. A few students have answered it as correct, right. Yeah, so this is about the Oman. So you need to remember the agreement, right, and then what is the deal, what is the deal about. So this can also be remembered, especially those students who are preparing for higher level of exams like civil services. They can use this in answer writing about our relations with the West Asia or Middle East, right. And also you need to remember what is Gulf Cooperation Council, our issue with that, we could not able to sign because of some countries are opposing, and what deals we have exempted, and then you need to know about this mapping as well. I will show you the question also, we will solve. So try to remember this, right. Let us move to the next article. Over the counter drugs. Over the counter drugs. Very simple article, let us understand this. Some chemist groups, some associations related to the pharmaceuticals and chemist groups, they have resisted the central decision to sell drugs through over the drugs category, right. So central government is announcing that over the counter drugs is going to be allowed, right, and this chemist groups is opposing it. Now let us see what actually these are over the counter drugs, and then we will come to the issue back, right. So here what are the over the counter drugs? You always need usually consume the medication when there is a prescription, right. If some doctor is prescribing that you need to consume this medicine, then only you will be able to consume. And also the shops which is selling these tablets or whatever drugs, they will ask you the prescription. Unless until they are not, they are very normal drugs, they will ask you the prescription to show to sell the goods, right. So that is the existing condition. But over the counter drugs are those drugs which are sold to the consumers even without the prescription. So even if you don't have prescription and if you are asking medicine, those will be given. Those are called as the over the counter drugs. Very important to understand. They will ask you this word and ask what are they, right. So these are the drugs which can be bought without any prescription, right. And what about the regulation in India? Can we buy them illegally, or can they who are selling, can they sold legally, right. So here there is no such law care about the over the counter drugs. There is no such law, and government is trying to frame one such law, and they have come up in November 2016, but still there was no law. And because of there is no law, approximately $4 billion market has developed in India, which is called as over the counter drugs. So the drugs total value that selling without any prescription is about $4 billion, which is a huge in amount. So government want to bring such law to regulate them. As of now, we don't have such law. That is also important to be remembered and understood. Now what concerns the chemist groups have raised? They said that they don't want to support central government's push to sell the over the counter drugs. So what concerns they have developed? They said that the initiative over the counter drugs which government is going to come up with, it is against the existing laws. Some laws are there which directly did not talk about over the counter drugs, but indirectly they only allow to give the medication only with the prescription. And also in many cases Supreme Court has announced that the drugs should not be sold without the prescription. So they are saying that some laws as well as Supreme Court pronouncements which everyone has to follow will be violated if government brings about this initiative, right. And also some more concerns like drug abuse, that means misuse of drugs without permission. So the drugs may be misused in black markets and all, and then increased risk of drug reactions, because without prescription we don't know how much to be consumed, when to be consumed. So such type of negative elements are possible. So that's why these chemist groups are opposing the government initiative to encourage over the counter drugs, right. So this is about the over the counter drugs. Any doubts in this? I hope this is very clear. You just need to understand what are over the counter drugs, what is the government push and why they are being opposed, right. Yeah, next article, first electronic voting machine experiment, right. First EVM used, we have seen this was used even 3-4 days back. We had an article related the EVMs, and I spoke about just a point, one single point, that Paravur assembly constituency in Kerala was the first to use the EVMs, right. But now we will go a little bit detailed, because there was an article in the Indian Express which discussed the background. So let us understand that also, that may be also asked in the exam. Supreme Court has approved EVMs utility, we have seen the case few days back, and this was 40 years ago. The EVMs were first used in the Paravur assembly constituency, and this was set aside by Supreme Court because there was no legal backing, right. So this is what the article, and in Paravur only 50 assembly constituencies were used with EVMs, and rest of 35 they used with the ballot papers, right. Please recollect what we have discussed few days back about ballot paper, EVM, VVPAT, everything we have discussed, right. So this is the context. Now let us go back to the history. In August 1980, electronic voting machines were put forward by Electronics Corporation of India Limited. They have provided a prototype to all the major parties, state parties as well as national parties, and they have informed that this is EVM. This will work like this. So they have explained everything, right. So the political parties have said, okay, you are showing us the submission and all, let's see, but they did not discuss in detail, right, and people were also not very much aware about EVMs, right. And in 1982, Election Commission of India has used EVMs in Paravur constituency in Kerala, and that too in 50 assembly, 50 booths, and out of that 35 were not used, right. Out of 85, only 50 were used with EVMs and 35 were used with the ballot papers. So election commission is testing it, even though there was no nod from the parliament. Anything such big initiative has to come up with the government or the parliament, because they are elected by the people, right. That is very logical. But Election Commission of India said that we have a powers under Article 324, we have a power to conduct elections, right, in a whatever way we want, right. Nobody can question us, because we are deriving our power from Article 324, right. So this is what the stand of Election Commission of India, and they go ahead with the elections, right. They go ahead with the usage of EVMs, and the elections has happened between two people, Sivan Pillai and then Jose, right, Chako Jose. So these two people were the persons who were the main parties, one from Congress party and one from Communist Party of India. So they were contested, and here understand this one, Sivan Pillai has won by just 123 votes. Sivan Pillai in the Paravur constituency, he has won with just 123 votes ahead with the Jose, right. Now Jose has went to the local court, the tribunal court which were existing, there were tribunals also earlier, election tribunals. So he went to the tribunal and has requested that this is not legal, so we need to go with the ballot paper only. But the trial court has quashed and upheld the election, right. So they said that the election was fair and no need to review. Again this person Jose, after the trial court has rejected, he went now directly to the Supreme Court. He said that this is the situation, there was no legal backing, how can they use the EVMs without proper training and without legal backing, right. So after rejected by the trial court, he went to the Supreme Court. Now Supreme Court under the different members, no need to worry, no need to remember who has had the case. Supreme Court has said unanimously that using election EVMs, electoral voting machines, without the law passed by the parliament, there is no such case. Election Commission does not have the power, only the parliament or the central government which can bring the law, they have to approve if you want to use the electoral voting machines. So that's why it has quashed the election, it has asked to conduct the elections again, right, because there is no legal backing and there was no proper training also, you used on your own on trial basis. But this is democracy, we need to have a clear picture, for each and every individual vote is important. That's what the Supreme Court has said, right. Now they have conducted the elections again in 1984, May 22nd, 1984 they have conducted the elections again, approximately 40 years ago. Now Jose has won, they have conducted the ballot paper voting, right, and then now Jose has won. Earlier Sivan Pillai was won when EVMs were used, but now Jose has won, right. But Election Commission did not give up using the EVMs. They have asked the central government, they have suggested central government to use, to enable under Representation of People Act 1951 to use the EVMs in the coming elections. So government has passed this in 1988. They have adjusted RPA, they have amended the RPA Act, they have enabled use of EVMs, right. Now Supreme Court won't tell anything, because it is a legally backed by the Act, right. So here EVMs then were used by Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh in a trial basis. We have seen this in previous articles also. Later it was used in 1999 in Goa in the full assembly elections, and then in 2004 in Lok Sabha general elections we have used all the seats with the EVMs, right. So this is what happened with the EVMs, very important, you need to remember all the facts associated with it. Any doubts in this? If you are not clear, please do let me know, don't hesitate to ask any queries, we are there to help you, right. So you can ask if you have any doubts. Any doubts I want to clear from my side? These are all like issue based articles, right. It is not just factual to make you know all the facts. For facts I can just read it on and make you know what are all the elements that are required, but if it is an issue based I need to explain you. Please do respond. Thank you Madan Oindila Srinath for your response. Let us go to the next article, that is forest fires and Bambi bucket. Now there are some small articles like 2-3 articles, we will finish it off, right. So forest fires recently across India, not only in northern part of India but even in southern part, Nilgiris, we have seen Nilgiris were subjected to forest fires. Few days back we have seen in a factual element, right, factual pointers. Now higher forest fires were being observed across India, right. In Uttarakhand recently there was a big huge forest fire. That's why we are taking this article from the Indian Express explained page, which is a very good article, right. We will also see about the Bambi bucket. So how frequent are the forest fires in India, right? This is what the article has mentioned, that Forest Survey of India, which is the authority which takes care about forest calculation, right. So Forest Survey of India puts that the whole out of the land that we have 324 million square kilometers, out of that Indian forest, so out of Indian forest, not the whole India, but out of the forest that we have, right, 21 or 22% of India is having forest. Out of that 22 forest area land, 36% of forests were prone to the forest fires. This is a very important fact that you need to remember, right. So 36% of our forests are subjected to the forest fires. That's what the Forest Survey of India has decided according to their studies, right. And the seasons which are frequent are from November to June. After the rainfall, we complete our southwest monsoon from June, July and August, some part of September, and northeast monsoon also we will complete by end of October. So there won't be any rainfall from November until the southwest monsoon comes in the June. So November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June are those months which are prone to the forest fires, right. And what factors contribute the forest fires? Why? Can anyone tell me the dry leaves which are prone to the forest fires or the green leaves, which are more prone? Which are more prone? Are dry leaves are more prone to forest fires or the green leaves? So dry leaves are more prone to the fire because they have very dry in nature without any moisture. That's why they can easily be lit. Even a small case of fire can spread, right. So that's why in this climatic condition after November, especially in the March, April, May, where there is a falling of leaves because of the season there, the type of season, they are more prone. So the dryness of leaves and the temperature and less precipitation. So if they will ask you which are the factors which may contribute for the forest fire, they will tell you high precipitation, low precipitation, high temperature, less vegetation, something like that, right. So temperatures are higher, forest fire will be more. Precipitation is lower, then forest fire will be more. Vegetation is lesser, that means green thing, again there will be more fires. And similarly moisture in the leaves should be less for forest fire. So these are all the factors which will contribute for the forest fires, right, great. So these are the factors which will contribute for the forest fires. Now according to the experts, the forest fires has been one huge important fact to be understood. Here fuel load means the dryness that is existing, right. So don't confuse, fuel load means that it is a fuel, something like that. Fuel load means the dryness of leaves or the vegetation that is existing in the forest, right, along with the presence of oxygen. In the presence of oxygen there will be more litting, right, the temperatures will be more, and then there is a possibility of the temperature shifting or converting into the fire, right. So dryness of load, that is deciduous leaves, and then presence of oxygen with the higher temperature. So these three are the combination ones which will contribute for the more forest fires, right. So that is important, right. The 3 months that we are more prone to the forest fires are March, April and May, as I said earlier, right. And then nearly 4% of country's forests are high prone to the forest fires, extreme, and then 6% are little bit higher. So 10% of forests are much more prone to the forest fire. So this is the factors that are contributing. Now causes of forest fires, there are many causes. The article mentions a few important things. We have seen the causes. One is, let's see the table first. Most of the cases are related to the man-made. So we are doing the agriculture activities and we are drying the leaves after completing our agriculture activities in the forest, especially the shifting cultivation, where the tribes do one forest, one agriculture activity in the forest, and then they will shift to the other part. Similarly, they will lit the whole grass because they want the fresh grass which will have higher productivity, right. So, because of man-made things, there are more accidents of forest fires, the most important thing. And in the Uttarakhand fires where it has happened, the 4 causes were identified by the experts. One is deliberate fire by the locals, people have deliberately lit fire because to escape from the poaching. See, the poaching means doing or catching the wild animals illegally. So, if there is a high amount of forest, they were not able to catch they were not able to poach the animals. So, that is why they are litting it, and for agriculture purposes, right. And farming related activities, natural reasons also, some things are there, some carelessness. So, these were the 4 reasons which they have identified that these causing the forest fires in the Uttarakhand, right. And friction of electricity cables. So, electricity cables keep rubbing each other and they will generate the lit, and that will fall on the leaves and it will expand the forest fires. So, these are all the causes for forest fires. Now, the how we are mitigating the forest fires, there was a separate article, but I have integrated both the articles. We have a Bumby bucket. You can see here helicopter is having one bucket and which is having a valve. So, this is called as a Bumby bucket. Bumby bucket, very important. They will ask you what actually is Bumby bucket recently in news. So, this is connected to the helicopter, and then water is, this is a very huge one, and water is captured from nearby water sources and they are put it on the forest fires to stop the expanding of the forest fires, right. So, this is the Bumby bucket that is being used. It is easy to take, so the water can be easily taken, and the pilot who is driving the helicopter will maintain the valve, how deep should be, how diameter should be managed. So, it can be expanded, the hole here, the valve can be expanded. So, according to the intensity of forest fires, so it can be spread, right. So, this is called as the Bumby bucket. Any doubts in this? Now, let us go to the last before article, the repolling. Recently, in some constituency assembly booths, especially the booths in Manipur and Arunachal Pradesh, Election Commission has announced the repolling. There is a lot of questions, there were many times the questions been asked about repolling in many of the exams, what is the process, who has the authority and all. So, try to understand. This is a little bit lengthy article, it take around 5 to 7 minutes. So, try to understand it. Election Commission has recently announced the repolling. That is why we have taken this article from again Indian Express, right. Let us understand the provisions under Representation of People Act. See, you have to remember this act a very good manner. Whatever the articles contents that we are doing from RPA, try to remember them. There will be a direct question, right. So, RPA 1951 deals about the conduct of elections across Indian territories. There are no chemicals used in the bucket Ranjan, there is no chemical at all. It is a fresh water, the water that has been taken from the nearby reservoirs, no chemicals are used, right. So, only directly water is poured in a huge number on the forest fires, right. Yeah. So, the repolling, the concept of repolling were derived from the Representation of People Act, right. So, they may ask you from where the Election Commission is deriving to conduct the repolling. So, it is RPA under section 58, section 58, right, in case of anything related to the electronic voting machine. So, if there is any issue with the EVMs, they can conduct the repolling. So, what are the cases that were given? One is taken away any EVM. So, if someone takes snatches of EVM, right, so that is the criteria to conduct the repolling. And then if there is any accidentally or intentionally destroy of the EVMs or lost EVMs. So, that is the second criteria. And then mechanical failure develops in EVM during the election. So, there are sometimes EVMs got stuck because it is a software, right. So, sometimes there may be issue. So, if these 3 cases were there, the Election Commission can announce the repolling, right. And then what is the concept of conducting fresh polls? As I said earlier, in these cases the Election Commission can conduct the fresh polling. So, what is the process for this? Returning officer is the head of the booth. At the booth level, returning officer is the head of the elections, and above that for every district we have a chief electoral officer. He is returning officer is just head of that booth, but we have a head of the district chief electoral officer. So this returning officer will inform the chief electoral officer, and chief electoral officer will give information to the Election Commission of India, and then they will assess the condition. Accordingly they will conduct the repolling, right. So if the conditions are satisfied that this has happened, so they can conduct the re-elections, right. In the re-elections, usually when you went for the vote for the fresh elections, the ink is kept on this finger, index finger, but during the repolling this was kept in the middle finger of the left hand. So this also you need to remember, the middle finger of the left hand they will put ink here, right. So this is one fact you can remember, right. And before conducting the repolling, they have decided that they want to conduct the repolling. There will be drum beatings and all in that local area where the re-elections are conducting in that particular booth. They will use the drums and all to make announcements so that people will be aware, right. And also one more case the Election Commission can announce the repolling, that is in case of the death of the candidate. For example, elections are on May 1st, let us assume, and the last date to nominate is for example April 20, right, April 20. So this dates, let us assume example, this is the election date and this is a what you call the nomination date, and after 11 am anything happened to the members who has nominated from the what you call recognized parties. There are recognized parties which Election Commission has given the fixed symbol for the elections. Those are called as recognized parties, national recognized parties, state recognized parties. So any of the party recognized party members has died of after 11 am of April 20, the nomination date. Before, if it happens, then they can give, the party whose person has died, the party can nominate some other person in that day and he can file the nomination. But after 11 am of that particular polling, nomination day till the election date, in this span, 11 am on nominational day after and then till election date, if there is a person who has died, the person who is contesting, then they can conduct the election, right. They can conduct the re-election under the Representation of People Act, section 52, right. It was amended in 1996. Only for recognized parties. If person from independence has died, then there is no repolling, right. So there is no such repolling because that is a logical thing. There is no party, it is just a person who want to contest and the person itself is not there, right. So that is why there is no exemption for the independents, but for parties, even if the person is not there, party will have number of members. So that is why only for recognized parties it was allowed, right. And the same process, as I said 11 am and all you can remember, and the same process they will conduct. They will ask, they will give 7 days time. One important thing is 7 days. Within 7 days after giving exemption, the party whose member has died, they have to propose one more name. So Election Commission will conduct the repolling and then they can announce the result, right. So that is about the repolling during the death of a candidate, EVMs and then death of a candidate. There are some more conditions of course under RPA, but no need to worry, these are in news, so you can remember. The last article, I hope this is for today, yes, the last article for today is World Coral Conservation Project. World Coral Conservation Project. Recently, self-bred corals, we have seen corals in many of the times, they are nothing but a calcium carbonate accumulated along with the zooxanthella. Inside there will be a zooxanthella and then there is a calcium carbonate form around it. Those are together attached to each other and then they are called as the corals. Now corals are a natural process, but now as the corals are getting degraded, we are artificially creating the coral reefs, right. So one such measure is self-bred corals, which they can artificially grown using the human's intervention, and they are being deployed in Burgers Zoo. This is the largest coral in Europe. Usually in the world the largest corals are located in the Australia, right. So this one is the Europe's largest and they have created the artificial corals. That is why we have taken this under the project of World Coral Conservation Project. So we will see about this project only, we are not discussing the corals in details. Few days back itself I have discussed as part of coral bleaching, to try to recollect or go back to the video if you forgot, right. So this was launched in Monaco in 2019 to promote the among the public partnership as well as private aquariums, wherever the corals are there, to promote the corals, right, the growth of artificial corals with the interventions of humans, and even India is part of it, right. So samples of corals are taken from other regions and then calcium carbonate is added, and then they are artificially creating the conditions of which are suitable for coral in that particular areas, and they are growing it, right. Simple article. In India we have seen previously also, in corals are distributed in Gulf of Kutch, not in Gulf of Kambat, and then Arabian Sea in the Goa and Maharashtra coast, Lakshadweep, Gulf of Mannar and Andaman Nicobar. So this is the India's map of coral reefs, and this is the old map where they are located between the tropics. Most of coral reefs are located in the tropics, between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. So that is about the larger articles. Any doubts in this? Else we will move to the factual pointers, right. Any doubts? Can someone please respond among any of the articles that we have discussed, 9 articles which are in detail we have discussed. Any doubts are there in that? Okay. Now let us move to the factual pointers. There are some good number of factual pointers, so try to remember them. There are around 7 or 8 factual pointers are there today, because we are covering 2 days news, right. Yeah. First one, the China has launched a submarine named as Hangar class submarines. They will ask you this, Hangar class submarines were developed by which country recently, something like that they will ask. So it was developed by China and they are giving it to the Pakistan. Great, thanks for the response. So let us move to the next factual pointers. So Hangar class submarines were developed by China and they are giving it to the Pakistan. This is one fact. Next one, DNA analysis. Our DNA, right, within our body, within cell we have a nucleus, right, within nucleus we have chromosomes, within chromosomes we have DNA, that is, right, double helical structure, right, like this it will be there. So they have announced certain newspaper, it was taken from international newspaper, right. So this DNA analysis of ancient graves has found that certain elements related to the social life of ours. So they will ask you what are ours and from which region it was discovered. So they are nomadic people. Nomadic means moving from one place to other place, from the eastern Central Asia, right. So this was proved. Ours they will ask, this was discovered, and what type of social life and all details not needed because they are not Indians, right. Next one, for the first time Bru voters has exercised their franchise. So Bru are a tribes which are also called as, who are also called as Riangs, right, and they are particularly vulnerable tribals in Tripura. Can anyone tell me how many particular vulnerable tribal groups are there in India? We have discussed this many times, alright. So Riangs who are from Tripura are the particularly vulnerable tribal groups out of 75 we has, right, and they have exercised the vote for the first time. They will ask you Riangs belongs to which state, that is Tripura. Next, Chitrai festival was celebrated in the city of Madurai. Chitrai festival were celebrated in the city of Madurai, so it is basically from Tamil Nadu. So they will ask you from which state it is celebrated. On the occasion of first calendar of Tamil Nadu, Chitrai festival is celebrated, right. So this is also fact to be remembered. Next one, Adani Group's Vizhinjam port. So Vizhinjam port is located in the Kerala, you can see here. This is located in the Kerala and it is handled by the Adani Group. This is the port which is handled by private company, right. So now it is going to be the India's first transshipment hub. They will ask you this, India's first transshipment means the big container will come and then it can be transferred to the small containers and distributed to the countries whatever required, wherever the goods want. Now as of now India does not have such transshipment, it is only the bigger containers comes and then will go to the country, then they will distribute there. But now this port is going to handle to redistribute the goods from various countries, right. So that is called as transshipment. Next, World Day for Safety and Health at Work is being annually celebrated on April 28th to promote the awareness about the health among workers, and the theme is veterinarians are the essential health workers. So veterinarians are the people who are taking care of animal health, right. So, this was the theme of this year, World Day for Safety and Health Work. Next one, last fact, Dubai announced that they are going to conduct the world's largest airport in Al Maktoum International Airport located in Dubai, right. So, this is a fact and this worth is going to be $35 billion. So, that is all for today. Highest number of particular vulnerable tribes in Odisha, we have seen that, right. 13 groups are there once we have discussed the article. Very good, very good. Lakshmi Prasanna and Indira has answered this, right. Now, let us move to the practice questions that we have. This was taken from UPSC Civil Services 2018, right. So, let us solve the questions from the topics that we have discussed. First question, first statement, most of the world's corals are in tropical waters. First question, right. More than 1/3 of world's coral reefs are located in the territories of Australia, Indonesia and Philippines. So, that is Southeast Asia and Australia. So, this is the second statement. Coral reefs host far more number of animal phyla than those hosted by tropical rainforests. So, animal phyla are nothing but a type of animal. So, corals are also considered as the animals. So, this coral reefs host the more number of animal phyla when we compare to the tropical rainforests, evergreen forest, right. So, that is what the statement is saying. So, what is the answer for this? First statement, let us see, more than 1/3 of world's reefs are located in the territorial regions of Australia, Philippines and Indonesia. I said this is the largest, right, belly region. So, this is the first statement which is correct. Sorry, first statement is here, right. Yes, this second statement is also correct, 1/3. First statement is also correct. We have seen the map also, I have shown you the map where the corals are located. So, first statement is correct, you can eliminate one statement, we have seen the diagram, right. First statement is correct, second statement is also correct. So, you can eliminate one more statement, that is C. Now, we are left with the third. So, yes, this is also correct, we have a more number of animal phyla in terms of corals than other rainforests. So, answer is D. Only 3 people have answered, Indira, Srinath and Ranjan. Try to answer, try to think and answer, even if it is wrong, that is fine. Try to answer. So, it will give you, when you are answering the questions, your brain will be more active. So, that will help you to solve more questions in the exam, right. Yes, Madan Diksha has also answered correct, very good, all of you 4 people have answered it, right. Next question, a typical question, let us see who will answer this question. In India, palm, coconut, as we discussed the coconut, that is why I have taken the question from SSC CHSL. So, it was a past question from SSC CHSL exam conducted by Staff Selection Commission, right. So, in India, palm, coconut, Kyora, agar are the common trees of which of the following forests, right. Which of the following forests? Let us see who will answer this. Even for coconut, if you know, you can answer, because the same for other also. Mangrove forests, tropical evergreen forests, tropical deciduous forests, montane forests. So, what is the answer for this? Understand where they are. We have discussed coconut trees, where they are located, right. So, there were certain conditions also we have discussed. So, try to think and apply here. Let us eliminate montane forest, they are not located on the hilly mountains, it should be only 60 meters from the mean sea level, but it does not for montane forest, and deciduous forests also no, right. So, here you may be confused between the tropical evergreen forests and then mangrove forest. I said that they are widely located in the coastal strips, we have discussed that they are located in the coastal strips, and montane forests are also called as coastal forests, right. So, wherever they are coast, the coconuts are grown heavily. So, tropical evergreen forests are may be possible, but not exactly sure of that, not all the tropical evergreen forests will give rise to the coconuts, but the mangrove forests which are coastal strips give favorable conditions for the coconuts cultivation, right. So Oendrila and then Madan, yes, so Trida, 3 people have answered it as correct, very good. So answer is mangrove forests. Next question, consider the following countries: UAE, Oman, Iran, Yemen. How many of the above countries have border with Gulf of Oman? We have seen the Gulf of Oman, and this is a recent trend in the UPSC civil service examination. This may be possible in other exams also. They are not giving 1 only, 2 only, 2 3 also, but they are also asking 1 only, 2, any of the possible. So even one country is there, you, if single country of this are border of Gulf of Oman, you can take as 1 only, and 2 only means any of the 2 countries, if they are bordering only 2 countries, that is 2 only, and if 3 countries are bordering, only 3, and then all the countries if bordering, it is part of all 4. So this type of tricky questions has been asked, and that's why civil services cutoff has come 75 for 200 in the last year, right. So this is the lowest among the civil services till now. So this is type of questions are also possible in other exams. Now try to answer Gulf of Oman, alright. So Oman is there, only one, so at least one is there, so you cannot eliminate any of the option. Now Iran is there or not? Gulf of Oman, we have seen, we have built a port also, right. So Iran should be there, so only one can be eliminated. This how elimination tricks even work in this type of questions. So if you are ticking 2, you can eliminate 1 only, right. So you are left with 3. Now let us see Yemen. Do Yemen have this? Yemen does not have. Yemen has a Gulf of Aden, right. So we do not have Yemen. So all 4 is not possible now, because we have eliminated Yemen. So all 4 is not possible, one only is not possible. Now you are left with 2 options, and even if you do not know, you have to choose the answer, because 50% probability is there to get correct. So this UAE is also having border, and hence the only 3. So answer is C. Yes, Oendrila, Madan, Srinath and Diksha has answered it as correct. Only 3 is the answer, alright. Yeah. Next question, the term Bumby bucket was recently mentioned in the context of. Trida also correct. So the term Bumby bucket was recently mentioned for what? Water conservation, forest fires, oil spill cleansing, coral reef conservation. This should be answered easily, isn't it? We have discussed, and it is a straight question. You can eliminate coral, oil spill cleaning, all the things. It is a very direct question. So answer is forest fires. Yes, now many people are answering because this is a easy question, right. So Srinath, Trida, Ranjan, Diksha, Oendrila has answered, that's correct. Next and the last question for today. Yes, Swarupa has also answered. Which of the following statements regarding the National Human Rights Commission of India is correct? So we have discussed the first article itself, the National Human Rights Commission. Let us see. Its chairman must be retired Chief Justice of India or Supreme Court judge. I mean retired Supreme Court judge. This retired word is applicable to both of them, right. Chief Justice of India retired or Chief Justice Supreme Court retired judge as well. Its powers are only recommendatory in nature. That means it is not mandatory for the government to implement. If an HRC is recommending something, it is not mandatory for government to implement, it is just a recommendatory in nature. That is what the second statement is saying. It is mandatory to appoint a woman as a member of the commission. So at least one member should be a woman under the commission. So this is the third statement. So what is the answer for this? I will wait, let us see who will answer this tricky question. Okay, first statement is correct. We have we have seen this, right. First statement should be correct. So you eliminate one option. It is mandatory to appoint one woman. So this also we have discussed. So 3 can also be eliminated. I mean 3 should be there. So now let us find out the logic behind the statement. Second, so some people might be, we haven't discussed, but yes, there is a logic in this. Do you think that governments will pass a law to give mandatory powers for statutory bodies. Only constitutional bodies like Election Commission of India, Supreme Court, those will have a mandatory say on the government. Do you think that governments will give mandatory power to some independent body? So it will be an issue on the government. So very logical that governments will not give independent powers to those statutory bodies created by the government itself, right. So this is also correct. They are just recommendatory in nature, but not mandatory on the government. So answer is D. So that's how you need to find the logic in the statements. Think about it, like whether government will give. So that question should be created in your mind, right. So that is all for today's session. I hope you liked the session. We have a very good issue based, right. So please do like, share our videos, and subscribe our channels. We will come up with such more initiatives, right. Have a great evening. Thank you.